Okay, this is the bad sound. I'm turning it on just for a second. How really bizarre. Huh. Okay, so screw that. My apologies. Today we're going to go with less than ideal sound. I have no idea why our sound is failing today, so my apologies. As I was saying, good morning to everyone. Um, Today you will notice that our resolution is, maybe that's why, because our resolution is a little bit lower than usual. The new software, the new edition of the software that we use allows me to know ahead of time if Telmex is having a good day or a bad day. And this morning, right until the beginning of the broadcast or right before it, the software kept saying to me, Telmex is having a bad day. So your resolution needs to be a little lower. What that means is if you're watching on your phone, if you're watching on your iPad, you may not notice a difference. However, if you're watching on your big screen later on today through YouTube, you will most likely notice a difference. So, as always, welcome. I apologize for my silent monologue at the beginning. Today, as usual, we have all kinds of interesting news. As usual, if you're watching live for the first time, a capital letter, no, the word new at the beginning of your comment will help us identify you and give you a nice little welcome. And as usual, if you have something really important that you wish to share, uh, add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your message, and we will be so very happy to look at it later on. Let's see. Before we get started, also, I want to send a nice happy birthday to my dear friend Den, who's turning 70 today. 70 years of age. That's a long time. So you deserve one of these.
Woot woot! Almost done.
Woot woot! Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now that we've gotten the sound figured out, boom, bum, bum, yes, everybody can listen to me, and we are good. I see all kinds of wonderful comments. We'll get to those later on, as usual. Today, let's start with the news. We have bad news to begin with. After 35 years of uninterrupted service as one of Mexico's low cost domestic airlines, but also after accumulating a lot of debt, Aeromar finally called it quits yesterday. The airline is permanently suspending 40 weekly flights to or from Puerto Vallarta and over a dozen national destinations, plus La Habana in Cuba and Laredo and McAllen in Texas. Once the announcement was made, the Secretary of Labor went to work coordinating with other airlines to try to find jobs for affected employees, while the Secretary of Tourism began reaching out to other airlines to cover the routes. Volaris and Aeromexico are offering alternatives for passengers that have already purchased tickets with Aeromar for the future. So, if this applies to any of you, if you have tickets for a trip that you will take in the future with Aeromar, the best thing to do is to reach out to either one of these other airlines right away. In unrelated news, Correos de Mexico, Mexico's postal service, has reported that their revenue for last year went down by 22.3%, thus accumulating 27 continuous years of losses. And this, of course, begs the question, is Mexico's postal service lousy because it's not profitable, or is it not profitable because the service is lousy? We don't have an answer for that, but I am constantly amused when I receive Christmas cards from the United States that arrive sometime in March or April or even May. So, in case you didn't know it, Mexico's Postal Service is nothing to be excited about. Moving right along, there is chaos along Francisco Medina Ascencio around the hotel zone. It is a messy affair due to two street closings. The first one involves Seapal as they are repairing an important drainage pipe in the lateral between Pablo Picasso and Clemente Orozco streets. The work here will continue until Wednesday, February 22nd. And the other closing is in the northbound lateral, right next to the food truck park near La Isla Shopping Mall. Despite the inconvenience, this closing is actually good news, as the Secretary of Infrastructure and Public Works has begun the process of giving the northbound lateral the same treatment received in the opposite lateral, resulting in wider sidewalks and a bicycle path. Again, this is good news, but just as in the opposite lateral for the last year and a half, the work will continue block by block, heading south, and we can anticipate that it's going to take quite a few months to get all the way down to the stadium, which is where the new lateral is expected to end. The last item in the list caught my attention not so much for the subject matter, but for the use of the term bypass, which I discovered this morning is a correct way to refer to a bypass in Spanish. And this is how languages get richer with vocabulary or poorer, depending on how you look at it. And the subject matter, in case you're wondering, has to do with our state's Congress having so many, or perhaps too many, bureaucrats in the payroll, and how it is important to give it some sort of a bypass. Of course, we're talking here of a political bypass, not so much a gastric one. That cloud looks like you're getting shot after a drug deal gone bad, says snarky weatherman. Today, it is 22 degrees, feels like 23. Humidity is a little higher at 57%, and our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 72 degrees. Our weather forecast for today says mostly cloudy through the day with a high of 26 and a low of 18. Tomorrow, Friday, will be a partly cloudy day with a high of 29 and a low of 18, while Saturday will be a clear day with a high of 30 and a low of 20. And I am feeling completely naked without my big microphone here for me to maneuver around, but that's just the way it goes. Moving right along with less important headlines, I am constantly amused by the things that land in my inbox. And I refer to questions that you send my way through the day after each broadcast. Some of them I'm happy to answer right away if they're very particular, but some of them I find that the answers, as you know, may be useful to more than one person. So when that is the case, I choose to answer during the live broadcast. And we start with this one. This one made me smile. Who is the lady vendor that sells soap and body creams that resist bugs? My answer is I have no idea what you're talking about. Thank you for the question. But the knowledge that comes out of this cluster that you are is boundless. So hopefully some of you, or at least one of you, knows who is the lady vendor that sells soap and body creams that resist bugs. If you do, kindly provide an answer to this eager viewer who sent me this question. The next one is, Hola Paco, I have looked everywhere and I can't find the list of restaurants for Versalles. Can you send me the link, please? And thank you. Well, the answer is quite simple. The map can be found on our official website, and the address of our official website is located in the beginning of the comments on every single broadcast. And if you go to our website, you will find the whole list of maps in the upper left-hand corner. Last but not least, yesterday afternoon, I went to Google and I searched for three words: map, restaurants, Versalles, and good news, the list of restaurants appeared immediately in the search results. So there is the answer to your question. The third one that I have, this one just made me roll my eyes a little bit. Just had capirotada, heaven on a spoon, is the first statement. The second statement is share this information. So, as for the first statement, well, thank you for letting me know. I'm so glad you enjoyed capirotada. As for the second statement, share this information, I believe I just did, but no good morning, no thank you, no please. I mean, if you were my mother's son or daughter, my mother would say, where are your manners? I don't think asking for a little kindness and friendliness in your correspondence is asking too much. So I just share this information, but, you know, there's not much there for me to hold on to, quite honestly. Yesterday, after I recorded tomorrow's walk, I found myself in the vicinity of La Isla where I could see firsthand how bad traffic was, but also information about the amusement park that is being built there. They're usually temporary things. I think it came up in conversation yesterday. Some of you were talking about carnivals. We never knew if you were talking about this one or the religious one, but what we do know is that this one will operate from Monday through Thursday from 5 to 11 p.m. and from Friday to Sunday from 5 to midnight. This is coming up right in front of the La Isla shopping mall. And you can see a little bit of the debris that has been caused with the construction of the new laterals there. Um, what is a capirotada? Asks somebody. Well, there you go. Maybe one of these days we'll talk about capirotadas. But first, on a day like today, but back in 1969, Telmex, which was then called Teléfonos de México, began offering automatic long distance service. That is, service without operators. Do you remember operators? Do you remember making collect calls and such? Maybe some of you are too young to even know what I'm talking about, but that's just a little fact that I thought you would appreciate. The sixth edition of the Dama Juana Raicilla Festival has been announced to take place along the Isla Rio Cuale from March 17 to 19. This event has provided an excellent opportunity in the past to sample raicilla created by local manufacturers, along with food offerings from local restaurants. In addition, there is live music and conferences and other amenities that might be interesting for you to attend. We'll leave the information in the show notes as always. And of course, we also found this bit of news, which I think is really important. In Banderas News, we learned that the San Pancho Circus has announced their annual performances to take place March 22nd to 25th. And if you don't know about the San Pancho Circus School and would like to know why this is an event that no one should ever miss, and it is absolutely magical, just write the word circus in the comments, and I'll be happy to get into detail about this event and why the circus in San Pancho matters. And lastly, before we get into the comments, I want to remind you um, that Mexico celebrates National Combi Day, and this Sunday there will be an exhibition of combis along the Malecon. These are the minivans produced by Volkswagen. The event will start at 10 a.m., and I'll leave you with the information in the show notes. And I see some people writing the word circus, and I am going to bite the bullet and tell you about this because you should really consider attending. Back in no, even before then, one of the founders of Cirque du Soleil, Gilles Saint Croix, along with his spouse Monique Boyer, have been temporary residents of San Pancho for many, many years. Um, and back in 2011, Gilles Saint Croix of the Cirque du Soleil approached the local community center and said, you know, we would like to teach circus here in San Pancho. We would like to offer a circus school for local children. And this little idea blossomed into a wonderful nonprofit undertaking in which San Pancho children, I'm not talking about this is something that you can go and enroll your kids or anything. This is San Pancho and nearby children have the opportunity to learn circus skills with the founder or one of the founders of Cirque du Soleil, along with other circus artists that have been hired to provide instruction for the kids. But the school is much more than just a school of circus. It's really a school of life because children learn about falling down and they learn about getting back on their feet. And I mean that literally, but also metaphorically. It's a wonderful project. And I get goosebumps just talking about it because after 1 year, after the first year, well, the children were eager to to show what they had learned in terms of circus acts. So what happened then is that Gilles and Monique called upon all their friends from Cirque du Soleil and said, "Come down and help us build a show." Now, think about this for a second. Cirque du Soleil has new shows every year and every year and every year. And so, what happens to the costumes? What happens to the hardware? What happens to all the equipment that becomes less useful for the new shows? Well, they started sending it down to San Pancho. So the long story or the short story is that watching the circus performances of San Pancho is watching local kids learning about life as taught by teachers and professionals, lighting, design, costumes, skills from Cirque du Soleil, and because it's a nonprofit operation, it gets produced with very little budget. So you really watch the circus performance unfold with such little budget that it sometimes puts some local performers to shame. I mean, the creativity and imagination that is displayed here should be of inspiration to anyone. So, this is the reason why I think that everyone living here in Puerto Vallarta should experience this wonderful show at least once in your life. I have been a number of times. I've had the pleasure of meeting both Gilles and Monique. And again, the performances go on between 22nd and 25th of March, and tickets sell out quickly. This is one of those hot tickets. And who knew? Who knew that in our little San Pancho, Cirque du Soleil lives on through the spirit and the actions of its residents? And now, our chit chat comments. Here we go. Let's see what we have. Such a love letter, but I tell you, it is completely worth it. Ah, that felt good. Lots of good mornings. Thank you very much for that. Um, let's see what else. Uh, let's see. Lots of people reporting on no sound. My apologies again, but here we are. Uh, oh, Lord have mercy. Let's see. Doody 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 doo. Da 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 da. I know I'm muted. I know I'm muted. God bless you, Dave. And I thought it was the battery on my hearing aid. Nope, it was me. My bad. Uh, let's see. Many happy birthdays. Many happy birthdays. Doo 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 doo. I don't see a lot of cues, but maybe they're coming up. Uh, love that face when you realize that. Yeah, I know. I almost still conscious when I trust myself. My bad. Let's see. Wow, was on the bus yesterday going to La Isla due to traffic congestion. Got out and walked and beat the bus. I hear you. I hear you. It was absolutely crazy. I was walking in that vicinity, which gives you a hint as to what tomorrow's walk is going to be about, by the way. Uh, let's see. My friend and I spent most of the day at Maloya, nice and quiet atmosphere. You know, taking the bus to Maloya or taking the bus to Boca del Tolpan and just chilling there under an umbrella for the day with your feet buried in the sand is one of the most understated activities that one can pursue as a local here in Puerto Vallarta. Good for you, Spencer. Uh, let's see. Hi, Cosita. Brian says we are still waiting for two Christmas cards from 2021. Good luck on that. um, Ed says, would it be possible to see a picture of the setup broadcast from my perspective? It would be interesting to see how it looks from your end. Well, I need to clean up a little bit because it's dusty, but I will definitely send it. I'll give my desk a little dusting, and I'll be happy to show uh, the setup from my point of view. Here's an answer for the soap person. Soap and blends on Basilio. Excellent. Here's another one that confirms that. Um, Now I remember what GTS means. Google that shit. No comment. Um, I need help finding someone who lives here year round. I bought a mountain bike. I need a place to store my bike. Good for March 9th. Will return either in October or next January. I certainly appreciate feedback. Arrangements of compensation can be talked about. I don't want to sell it or ship it back to the States. Please consider helping me out. Spencer, I know that if I had space for it, I would gladly store it for you. Um, and I suppose it can sit on my spare bedroom. If you're not lucky, Spencer, do let me know, but I hope you find somebody that has a better Terry asks, what is a capirotada? And I say, right, yeah, what is a capirotada? Some other day, Terry, I'll be happy to get into that. Let's see. Then we talked about the circus. And is the music unusually loud today, or is it just me? Let's see. And I see your comments about the circus. I tell you, please go with children, without children. Just go and be wonderful at how you can create so much with very little. It is absolutely wonderful. Parim, pam, pum, pam, pum. My pleasure, Karen. I never tire of talking about Circo de los Niños in San Pancho. It is such a worthwhile pursuit. It's not even funny. And I gush um, without any restraint about it, and I always will. Um, Thank you for that. Yeah, I tell you, I used to have a car. I used to drive. I used to go. Now I don't have a car, but it is. Oh, oh! Please go and see it. Da-da-da-da. Oh shit! I forgot about that. Not that one. Did I miss the events in March? The question is, did I even set them up? Because I talked about events coming up in March, and I am finding that I did not set them up. My apologies. Um, but because they're next month, I will be happy to feature them on Monday uh, when we come back from Guadalajara. And this, of course, brings us to. And I'm trying to remember now what was. Well, duh. No, I did mention it. What am I talking about? One of them was the circus, um, which is coming up in March. And the other one was the Raicilla event, which is also coming up in March. No, don't scare me. I did talk about these two events. My bad. So I think we're done. Yes, we are done. So it's time to remind you that we are here thanks to your subscriptions, thanks to your coffees, thanks to your support, thanks to your word of mouth. But as much as we love the word of mouth, again, remember that your membership and your occasional coffees is what keeps us going. As always, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow before our Saturday recording. Tomorrow, right after the broadcast, we head out to Guadalajara. We'll bring back some photos and videos. See you tomorrow.